Well, hello, a chroeso I Poetry is Alive and Well. Hello and welcome to Poetry is Alive and Well with me, Chris Davies, and Annie Pelleschi.
Hello.
Hello, hello. And today we've got David Churchill as our guest. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you're born in Swansea, aren't you? And
I am, yeah.
Close to the mouth of the River Tower, it says here, in the 10 writers of...
It's a posh way of saying St Thomas, I think.
Yeah. Does being from that part have any influence in your writing as a poet?
I think there's a certain grounding in it. I think, if you think that you can get away with being fanciful, you're not going to in Swansea. I think the grounding that you get from being from somewhere like St Thomas will give you that. Yeah. Something to rest on and to lean on, really, I think. And I like to think that probably a lot of my stuff is very, very much grounded in my own experience and what I experience and view from other people as well.
Brilliant. And what is the main subject of your work?
Oh gosh, I seem to have. I seem to start from a point of view, really. I try to write about things I don't understand. Mm-hmm. And one of the favourite things I do is to try to understand the opposite point of view of my own by putting myself in their position, or however difficult that might be.
That's very good.
So one of the things, for instance, I will think about in some of my work, instead of looking at the crucifixion, the Easter situation from the point of view of Jesus, I would look at it from the point of view of Pontius Pilate. See the part that he played in it to see. So from his point of view, it's a very difficult situation, but everybody obviously. So look at Easter from the point of view of Pontius Pilate. It's quite an interesting thing to do.
Because I suppose generally when writers or anybody that's creative, they draw upon their own experiences, and then maybe that's where the best writing comes from. But so how hard do you think it is to discuss something that you don't completely understand? Do you find that at the end of that you're enlightened?
That can happen, or you can be just as equally muddled as you were to begin with. But at least you've tried.
Well, indeed.
And maybe in trying, the sense that you get from it, other people can understand as well as you can. So
what's interesting about some of David's work, and David is a performing poet as well.
I did read that, yes.
And when words are performed, they change.
Yeah, sure.
Don't they? And some of David's work, if you look at people's reaction to the questions he's throwing out and then trying to answer within his work, you can see other people trying to work out where they are as well.
Okay, yeah.
It throws everybody into that, where are we in this one?
Perhaps it works then.
I think it does. I think it does.
So as a performing poet, where do you perform the work and how often?
Well, there are, I think, you can go to as many as 6 a month poetry sessions in Swansea. It's a very poet-orientated city. I suppose I go mainly to the twice a month to the poetry that I host, which is in Tino's in the first and last Wednesdays of each month, and that's the Talisman Poets.
Right. Okay.
And that's been going now for about 2 years, and I think we're quite successful in terms of numbers. We get anything, I suppose, between 16 and 25 readers. Sometimes it's very difficult to actually give everybody the chance to read during that time.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
But they're very well behaved.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they don't usually read for too long.
Right.
Because they are very much aware that it's a little poetry community we have.
Okay.
And they're aware that other people need the opportunity to read as well. So.
Now, is it just the reading that you do, though? Or do you discuss it as well, or is it just the performing as such?
I suppose it's part of my role as the host to give some positive feedback.
Okay, brilliant.
Some people don't like that. They come and say to me, "Oh, don't talk about what I've read."
Really?
Talk about it. I'd just rather listen, rather observe what other people are talking about it. Other people will come up to me during breaks and say, "What do you think about that?" So there's no hard and fast rule. I probably don't give as much feedback as some people do.
Okay.
I've been to a couple of an evening in Carmarthen where the feedback that the host there gives is fantastic. But they don't have 25 readers. So there is a time constraint in what we're doing.
I think, can I just say,
go for it.
I think that the Talisman group, especially, when it first started in Tino's, wanted to encourage people to perform their work.
Right, okay.
Very much so.
Not everybody is confident in performing.
No, I mean you can be a writer and just you know hide behind the pen or whatever, but but performing is a completely different thing, isn't it?
Totally different thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Interesting.
And what Talisman has done also is to give, say, your poetry to another poet to read.
Yes.
So that you, as the poet, can hear a different perspective.
Exactly. And you know, because you touched on before when you said that the poets weren't always happy that you were giving feedback, albeit positive feedback.
Yeah.
But do you think that they thought, well, no, that's not how I wanted it interpreted? What is...
I think that the reasoning for that is varied. There's one person I know who's a regular there, and he says if they don't understand what I've read, they don't deserve to be explained. So he does have a very straightforward and a very straight up way of delivering. So people will understand him, but he doesn't like that any feedback from anyone else, and he will cut it off as soon as it starts.
I think that's an important part as well that comes out is the possessiveness sometimes.
Right, yeah.
Of the words, you know, that a lot of people who write, they just want it. They want to keep it, although they're sharing it.
Yeah, as like a personal journal or a diary or something.
It's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine.
I sometimes, as part of my job as the host, I will sometimes read other people's poetry.
Okay.
But I always make sure I ask them first.
Oh, well done. Well, yeah.
Because there will be chairs thrown around the room.
It's called the survival instinct.
Well, I'm sure it's nothing Wine Street hasn't seen before.
And when I do that, everyone says, that's completely different to how I imagined hearing it.
Right.
So that's important as well.
Now, have you had to ever give negative feedback at all?
Silence can be quite negative.
Right.
No, everybody I think that's there is trying their best.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's comes there to not to achieve what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the language can be inappropriate and repetitively offensive.
Okay.
But I got to say, to be fair to the people who tend to come to the one that I run, that doesn't happen very often.
Okay. And you feel that has an impact on on the audience there?
Yeah, we're very careful that there is not the usual isms in there, you know, the sexism, the racism.
Right, okay.
I would see really that as being out of context, would not be
right.
appropriate.
Okay, so I suppose bad language aside, you're talking about the isms you said. So then if you do see something that, you know, does border maybe racism, sexism, would you pull that performance?
I've never had to, but I would, yeah.
Okay, there we are. So there is a there's a line.
That is nothing to do with political statements.
No.
Right.
Politics, fine. You know?
Yeah.
But anything, as Dave said, that goes on into the isms.
Right.
No.
It's offensive, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Because, I mean, I suppose you just think of, you know, the freedom of the spoken word and you think, well, but there are actually, because you perform in front of an audience and as well, that's interesting.
There's a freedom of listening as well.
Exactly.
We're in a democracy and,
exactly.
and it's freedom for someone to write what they want, but also a freedom to say, no, I don't want to hear it.
Yes. Yeah.
And in poetry especially, we get everyone, no matter what their sexuality, their race, their creed or their gender, don't we?
I think they find it a fairly comfortable situation to be in. I hope they do. And so again, I see it part of my role as on those evenings is to facilitate that comfort and that they feel in the evening and in the people that are around them. Yeah.
Also, it helps that when you write a poem, it changes when you say it out loud.
Yes.
Not only to yourself, more so to other people. Doesn't it? You can hear it.
Yes.
More.
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't work, what, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that's what Talisman and the other groups do.
I think even with those few exceptions, the variety of messages, approaches, delivery styles that we get are so incredibly different to each other. Some people are very happy to stand behind the mic and a rather quiet voice, very timidly, and other people are up around the room and, you know, getting everyone else involved. So I think, you know, we try not to discourage differences of approaches, because I think that's really, really important, and I think that's what people enjoy about the night.
Brilliant. Now, after the break, we're going to look at some of your work. The Sisters stands out to you, doesn't it,
Yes, it
Annie?
does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So we may just take a look, but at the rest of them, but we'll focus on the Sisters after the break. So stay with us, and we shall see you in 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. See you in a bit. Croeso nôl, welcome back. Well, as you as viewers are aware, we are discussing the 10 Swansea writers, if you've seen the first few shows. And today we've got David Churchill, who is one of the poets featured in 10 Swansea writers. Now then, David, the Sisters. Tell us a bit about the Sisters. It wasn't originally called the Sisters to start off with, was it? What was it originally called?
The original title was The Day Will Come, and I just thought in the end, by the time it came to put in the book, the Sisters was a bit of a snappier title. It's really based on a work of art that I bought while on holiday on the Croatian island of Korčula.
Oh, lovely.
Which is a beautiful area. And
Croatia's gorgeous.
I saw within an artist's studio this wonderful, what I thought, print. And in his less than perfect English and my non-existent Serbo-Croat, he was explaining to me that the picture is actually about and features the younger sisters of the bride-to-be at a wedding on the island of Korčula.
Okay.
And in talking about the picture, he was explaining to me the position of the people's hands, the hairdresses they were wearing, which are completely different to each other, were a reflection on those sisters' age, but also, and this sounds not that politically correct, but how near they too were ready to be married.
Right.
So it was a statement to the men of the island, keep away, or come and see them.
Oh, really?
So although the girls, I don't know how old they were, my guess is they between 12 and 15. It was a definite statement. These girls
Goodness
are
me.
too young at the moment to consider marriage.
When was this?
This would have been, I think, probably about 1990.
Okay, and it's still the same there now?
I think even then it was something that was... wasn't happening then. That was something that was in the island's cultural past.
Okay.
But what really strikes me is how beautiful the actual clothes were, and how almost, I suppose, impressionistic all the clothes were. But their faces were studied in very close detail, which were very different to everything else in the picture. So everything was very muted, apart from their faces were very intense. And that struck me as being something that summed up, if you like, the culture of that island, something about the insight of that particular painter, and struck me as being something that was, although a country that is quite westernised, significantly different to perhaps we would look at things in Britain.
The original title makes sense once you've...
The Day Will Come.
Yes, that's right.
True.
The Day Will Come.
Could you decipher some kind of emotion by looking at the faces?
Yeah, intense interest for those girls, because they were very, very keen to know what other people were thinking.
Really?
It was a fashion show. Okay. In its way, but it was also very much a statement about what their friends would be thinking about them within the like bridesmaids at any wedding, I suppose, in Britain.
Were they happy to be there as sisters?
Yes, they were very happy to be sisters.
Yeah.
I think the family culture was so strong that they saw themselves as being somebody. They saw themselves as people who belonged to that context. Right. And they had a definite part and a definite role to play in the day.
Right. And they didn't feel that was a burden to them. They were excited about it, were they?
They were.
Oh, okay.
You know, you changed the title.
From The Day Will Come.
Yeah. Did you change much of the context?
I didn't change any of the context at all. This is one of the poems I've never really rewritten.
Really? Okay.
That's almost the first draft.
Now, would you mind, because we've just started discussing it, would you mind just reading it for us?
Of course I would.
Please. Thank you.
It's on page 18.
18,
if you want
that's
to,
right,
if anybody wants to buy this book, which is available within the Uplands Bookshop, and will soon be available on our website.
Oh, wonderful. And you've also got your, while you find that, you've also got your own short story collection coming out as well, haven't you? Single Tears soon.
Single Tears, that would be in June of 2017.
Brilliant.
And that's a collection of short stories and poetry.
Excellent. So look out for that one. Okay, excellent. So, David Churchill, The Sisters.
So who do you pray to, sisters? No, your eldest is taken by man, your immaculate eldest, ascended from grace with the eyes like stones and the cool alabaster pouting disdain. Stand for now in your cloud of marble, silver and white, with your hands in front, unformed, gloveless, so no devil can lurk behind, no sin conceal in your vanity. And stand for now in pose and precedence, unsmiling, saddened, untouched, with the glow of cube and beehive, chiffon windows of holy, shimmering island light. Stand now for your sister. And yet your tulip stem necks and your surreal viola faces are portraits of not just eternal innocence. In your eyes, too, the dream of wedding's eve. In your eyes, the shock of light, the herald dawn, the fateful day. The single moment when the flesh will replace with substance your aura of imponderable time.
Oh, wow. That is. And do you know what? I can see why they do call you a performance poet. That was fantastic. Well done. Thank you. So what's your take on that, Annie?
Well, I just love the sound of the words.
Oh, me too.
The rhythm of it and it's pulling in.
Yeah.
Pulling in.
We were just entranced there, weren't we?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
And David's performance artistry has changed over the years. You wouldn't have had David sitting here very happily, reading very profoundly and proficiently a few years ago.
No?
I'd found it very difficult, yes.
Really?
But now, you know,
overcome.
he's allowing us to hear more than the words.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you have any training to be able to, or did you just get on with it and then it came, you became more confident to be able to do that? What was it?
I think it was just taking the chance and doing it. And we were talking about feedback earlier, just listening to feedback people were giving me. Stand up straight.
Right, yeah.
Stop moving about, stop hopping on one foot. I also have a lot of friends who are performance poets, and
right.
you know, so I was almost tempted into it by them. I come from an education of working a background of working in education. So
right, yeah,
I was used to standing up in front of classes of kids, and but not necessarily standing up in front of an audience who were going to have opinions about what I said.
No, that's true.
But it was a steep learning curve.
Goodness, because you're quite open and raw with. I mean, when you've got poetry and it's your own work, it's your own ideology, your own thoughts. It's quite a vulnerable position to be in, isn't it? You know. So well done for just getting on with it, and I suppose you've practiced that tool in your mind to just be confident and a fantastic performance poet. So
the next thing to do is read them to perform them without reading them in the book. And that's another step.
Oh, well, that's just a memory skill, really.
What's also great is that softness of the South Walian accent.
Yeah.
That comes through, I think.
Yes.
I'm not prejudiced at all or judgmental, but it's a lovely soft role. And you've got it in your voice and it comes through in the words. It softens the words and can harden the words, I think.
Yeah.
Just like our landscape is mountains and valleys.
Yeah.
I think it adds to it. Can I just say that about the talisman, the word talisman,
Yeah.
Strange name. It's supposed to be a lucky old thing that you hang around your neck or hold on to like a rabbit's foot. Where did it come from?
Yeah, when we first started the poetry club, it wasn't called Talisman at all. We didn't have a name, but we started in a place called Cafe Nice, which is a cafe on Wine Street. And we thought, what is Nice? And we looked it up, and it's an African language word for a talisman. So when Nice changed its name to Tino's Cafe, we thought we weren't going to call ourselves the poets of Tino, so we call ourselves Talisman.
Okay.
And it's quite a snappy title. And people say, well, why do you call it that? It starts a conversation, doesn't it?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Wasn't there somewhere in Swansea years ago called the Talisman?
I don't... Maybe you're older than me, are you?
Quite possibly, Annie, quite possibly.
Should we move on?
Well, we've got about 30 seconds left actually before we have to end. But is there any other work that stands out for you? You think? Which is your?
What I'd say was I would say
I'd like. Sorry, David. Sorry, can you just tell the story of the White Place?
That was this White Place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful poem.
Well, okay, I tell you what, because we're running out of time, I'm afraid, but if you want to read it, it's in the 10 Swansea writers, so you'll have to come again, hopefully in the second series.
Love to.
Well, thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time.